Now at 9, authorities identify the man who drowned in Grand Lake over the weekend. Plus, communities across the 4 states celebrate Independence Day with various events, and how an unincorporated community in Crawford County is celebrating its rich history.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. We now know the identity of the man who drowned at the Dripping Springs area of Grand Lake over the weekend. Officials with Emporia State University in Kansas say the man, Brexton Green, was a student there. The university says Green, originally from Cashion, Oklahoma, was a sophomore and a wide receiver on the football team. Authorities say Green was cliff jumping into the water but did not resurface. A Wyandotte, Oklahoma man is dead after a crash this morning while on his motorcycle in Newton County, Missouri. Authorities say 61-year-old Bruce Dodge was driving north on Missouri State Highway 43 north of Seneca when he crashed into the back of a pickup. Dodge was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver was not hurt. The Caney, Kansas Police Department is warning residents to be on alert after a string of vehicle break-ins. Officials say if your vehicle is parked outside, you should make sure it's locked and remove any valuables from it. They're also asking people with security cameras to review the footage from last night and contact them if you see anything suspicious. It has been a hot 4th of July, still is. Doug Heddy.
Yeah, super hot day for us today. At one point in time, we had heat indices in that 105 to about 100-degree range. Actual temperature went to 99, the record high 102, so not that far off the mark, but it looks pretty good for us right now outside, at least for the rest of the evening. Heat advisories continue Kansas, Oklahoma as we go through the next several days. We have pretty much clear skies for us right now. So if you are getting outside the next couple hours, it looks fine, but the heat really sticks around. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you then. Last week's deadly Amtrak crash in northern Missouri happened at a railroad crossing that was unguarded and uncontrolled. Those kinds of crossings are also in Kansas. Unlike controlled or signaled crossing, there's no advance warning if a train's coming. Reporter Sean Logan has more.
In the rural rustic landscape of Kansas, intercut is gravel roads and lines of train tracks.
There's a lot of uncontrolled intersections all across Kansas.
Uncontrolled means there might only be a sign to warn drivers there's a railroad crossing ahead.
You know, when we see tracks, we should think train.
KHP Trooper Ben Gardner says these uncontrolled crossings are where they often see crashes.
People don't expect them. They travel through these roads, they get fatigued or relaxed or comfortable in their travels, not really elevating the concerns of the tracks that are getting ready to approach. And then before they realize it, that the train right there in that same space.
Data collected by Kansas Highway Patrol shows in the 10 years between 2011 and 2020, there were more than 2,000 crashes at railroad crossings.
We're not the number one. I mean, California, Texas, Illinois, them are 3 consistent states up there that are very high on their more tracks in their state.
The data shows that only a portion of these crashes at railroad crossings involved a collision with a train. Trooper Ben tells me one thing for drivers to keep in mind is while it only takes you a few seconds to bring your car to a stop, for a train it's oftentimes hundreds of feet before it can finally come to a halt.
The ratio I always think of, a vehicle versus a pop can would be the same comparison of a train versus a car. It's going to win.
For example, the average freight train traveling 55 miles an hour can take more than a mile to stop.
Collision occurs with a vehicle, you are at fault. It's not the train's fault.
Again, that was Sean Logan reporting. As usual on the 4th, lots of area communities are hosting public fireworks displays tonight, many of them about to get underway. The Joplin Parks and Recreation Department has teamed up with Missouri Southern for a celebration at Fred G. Hughes Stadium. The fireworks begin at 9:45 p.m. Pittsburgh has been celebrating with various activities since yesterday at Lincoln Park. A fireworks display begins there at 10 tonight. To find a public display near you, just go to our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. The city of Carthage has been hosting a 4th of July celebration called Red, White, and Boom. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more on the festivities.
The city of Carthage is celebrating Independence Day with fun-filled activities such as a free community swim, live music, ending with a bang of fireworks.
Red, White, and Boom has been going on in the community for over 20 years. This is a staple with the Carthage community.
Red, White, and Blue had many local sponsors who provided activities. The YMCA offered a free community swim, and Midwest Ag Supply offered iced watermelon to event goers.
We couldn't do it without amazing sponsors, and we're very grateful for the opportunity to not only showcase our community to those that live here, but also to those that are visiting and looking for something to do while they're here in Carthage.
Despite all the activities, spending time with family is what made Red, White, and Boom successful.
I'm having a fun time with my family, eating pancakes.
However, throughout the day, everybody was anticipating one thing.
Fireworks.
Before the fireworks, musicians Cole Moritz and Stone Country providing live music. In Carthage, Amber Jenkins, KUAM News.
That fireworks show in Carthage is going to start in a little over 20 minutes at 9:30 tonight. Another local Independence Day tradition, the Pittsburgh Parks and Rec Department's annual 4th of July festival. That festival features events like a car show, bocce tournament, and fishing derby at Lincoln Park. Officials yesterday restocked the pond at Lincoln Park with catfish. Kids and adults today were put in separate divisions to see who could catch the most.
So I hope the families can come out and enjoy themselves in this nice weather today and enjoy just celebrating the 4th of July together.
The winner of the adult division received some Pittsburgh Chamber bucks. The kids division winner got a fishing pole. The many activities at Pittsburgh's Lincoln Park also included a cutest baby contest. Participants were in boy and girl categories and 6 to 12 months or 12 to 24 months. The contest is a long-standing tradition for Pittsburgh Independence Day celebrations.
Well, as a child, my mom took me to all of them, mainly with my grandpa. And so it was just kind of a little tradition that I was so excited to continue on once I had her. So we're just excited to do it and to spend the 4th of July with family and friends and at the day at the park.
And of course, the best part, turns out every single baby was cute. Who'd have thunk it? Just outside Pittsburgh sits the unincorporated community of Chicopee. Though it's small, Chicopee has a whole lot of history. That includes a schoolhouse that was established in 1869 and ran for more than 100 years. There's also the Chicopee Rural Water District, established in 1951. Today, the community honored both parts of history by dedicating a memorial in the old schoolyard.
Well, I'm kind of the local historian here, and I've researched the area hospital or the area history here for 60 years, and so that kind of means a lot to me to see some of the history recognized.
The memorial is made of brick and cut stone and features a flagpole. KOIM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Mike Triddle served in the U.S. Army. The McCune, Kansas native was stationed in Iraq, and we salute Sergeant Mike Triddle, a four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast, and a little bit later, a Webb City High School graduate finds his new team and new home inside the boxing ring.
Well, it turned out to be another hot, humid day for us today, but at least over the holiday weekend, a little bit of rain in spots. About a half of us at the Joplin Airport picked up a half an inch of rain, which was something we greatly needed. We don't have much in the way of rain chances for us as we go through this week. Heat advisories all week long. Oklahoma and Arkansas dropped during the evening hours, but will reissue once again tomorrow. And this is due to the heat, the humidity across the region. Look at our temps during the afternoon. Most of us went upper 80s, I wish upper 80s, upper 90s to nearly 100 degrees across the region. And it's still hot. Even outside right now, most of us are sitting mid to upper 80s to near 90 degrees. So it's going to be a slow drop as we go through the evening hours. Humidity is up there. Look at our dew points sitting into lower 70s. So if we look at our scale, that puts us in that muggy to soupy range. and that's where we're going to sit as we go through the next couple hours. So we still have a heat index outside, kind of 92 to 93 across the region. Looks good. We have clear skies. The sun has set, so a lot of fireworks across the region will start popping up over about the next 15 to 20 minutes. 87, humidity's at 59%. Nothing going on here. We have pretty much clear skies, a few isolated little thunderstorms out to our west. We could get an isolated storm as we head into Tuesday, but in general, no big storm systems heading toward us over the next few days. All right, let's go through the rest of the evening into the overnight hours tonight. We drop back 78 to about 80. On the Kansas side, there could be one or two random little isolated storms during the morning. Everybody else really heats up, mid-90s by noon, and then I think we should approach, if not hit, 100 tomorrow afternoon. 94 by noon, high temp 100, southwesterly winds at about 5 to 15. Tomorrow night, pretty much clear skies. Once again, we drop back kind of 78 to about 80. And then as we go into Wednesday, much of the same, partly to mostly sunny skies, high temps, right around 100 degrees. Heat indices are going to be up there as well, 105 to 110 tomorrow afternoon. On Wednesday, 105 to 110 again, and the heat just continues. Thursday, triple digits. Friday, triple digits, but we at least start to get some scattered thunderstorms in here late this week and then heading into the weekend. All right, so alert days over the next several days, 100 tomorrow, 101, 102, 103, so we add about a degree each day, and then huge cold front moves in for the weekend and cools us down to about 98 or 99 degrees. I know it.
Get out the parkas.
It's chilly.
Thanks, Doug. The new antenna weighing 12.5 tons is now at the very top of our tower. For now, we're broadcasting from a temporary antenna lower on the tower as we prepare to transition to a new, more powerful transmitter. Our signal is kind of glitchy for some of you. That is only temporary, but when this project is finished, we're going to be broadcasting with more power than ever. Check out the progress anytime on our website, koimnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, details on a mass shooting at a 4th of July celebration in Illinois. At least 6 people are dead, more than 24 are hospitalized after a gunman opened fire at a suburban Chicago 4th of July parade. Police recovered a high-powered rifle and identified a person of interest, and this evening they announced his capture. Sabrina Franza has the latest from Highland Park, Illinois.
Police in Highland Park, Illinois say a gunman started shooting into a 4th of July parade from a rooftop in the downtown area.
I remember hearing shootings and going like, that's, and then reloading and then again, and people screaming and running. It was just really traumatizing and scary.
Officials say shots started ringing out about 10 minutes after the parade started. At first, the crowd thought the noise was associated with the parade. Then they ran from the scene, leaving their belongings behind.
It sounds like spectators were targeted, and even those that were marching through. The parade was approximately 3/4 of the way through when the shooting occurred. So very random, very intentional, and a very sad day.
Monday evening, police captured Robert Cremo III, the 22-year-old person of interest they identified just hours earlier.
Robert Cremo III was spotted by a North Chicago unit at Buckley in 41, his vehicle, the vehicle that we were looking for. He attempted to initiate a traffic stop on that subject. That subject did flee. A brief pursuit went on. Ultimately, they were able to get the subject stopped.
Authorities took him to Highland Park Police Department.
On a day that we came together to celebrate community and freedom, we're instead mourning the tragic loss of life and struggling with the terror that was brought upon us.
Some 4th of July events in nearby communities have been canceled.
Still ahead, more headaches at the airport.
With the holiday weekend wrapping up, many travelers are facing delays and cancellations as they make their way home. I'm Charles Watson at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. I'll have the latest coming up.
Google has offered a proposed settlement to U.S. Android app developers. The $90 million fund from the search engine giant will help address the allegations that it had anti-competitive restrictions placed on app makers who were hosted on the Google Play Store. Google says this deal is available to app makers who earned under $2 million annually from the Google Play Store from 2016 through 2021. Google is also making a policy change keeping user location history data. The company says it'll delete entries from a person's location history when users visit sensitive health locations such as abortion clinics or domestic violence shelters. Google says the changes are meant to protect user privacy and, in abortion cases, protect users from legal problems by states banning abortions. Tracking with counseling centers, fertility clinics, weight loss centers, and cosmetic surgery clinics will also be deleted. This holiday weekend saw a surge of Americans returning to airports, but high demand and staffing shortages are combining to create some disastrous conditions at airports across the country. Reporter Charles Watson has more from Hartsfield-Jackson International in Atlanta.
This holiday weekend turning into a travel nightmare for many across the country as thousands encounter flight cancellations and delays.
I was flying with Delta and they canceled my flight as I'm boarding the plane.
A surge of travelers returning back to airports in pre-pandemic numbers this holiday. According to TSA, nearly 2.5 million people were screened at airports across the country on Friday. That's the highest checkpoint volume since February 2020. Even though the high volume of travelers was expected, airlines have struggled to keep up with demand due to overscheduling and staffing shortages.
They're short-staffed and we can't check in and get in there in time, so we're just waiting for more people to come in.
Ahead of the holiday weekend, Delta proactively issuing fee waivers, allowing those who had flights over the weekend to rebook on a different flight without an additional fee. The airline also reportedly offering passengers $10,000 in one instance if they volunteered to offer up their seats on an overbooked flight.
We're lucky. We are some of the lucky ones, no delay.
Many travelers just hoping to make it home.
We're hoping the plane is there when we're ready to get on it. Or there's a pilot to fly it so that we can get out on time because we got to get back and get back to life.
Airports seeing some of the most disruptions include Newark Liberty International, Chicago O'Hare, and right here at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
Up next, this dog just did something no other four-legged creature has done before. We're going to learn what that is coming up. All right, this dog named Savannah became the first dog on record to walk around the world. The four-legged adventurer was adopted by Tom Tursich from New Jersey. Tursich was inspired to walk around the globe after a longtime friend passed away. He set off in 2015 and adopted Savannah a few months later. Together, the pair walked across 6 continents and 38 countries. They spent most nights camping and walked between 18 and 24 miles each day. That trip took 7 years with a few delays from illness and the pandemic. Tursich is the 10th person on record to walk around the world. Savannah still walks at least 4 miles a day, but she's now adjusting to staying in one place. Stay, Savannah. Sit. Good girl. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, a Southwest Missouri legislator resigns after a fraud conviction. Plus, why consultations for a certain medical procedure are skyrocketing in Kansas City. A Southwest Missouri legislator has resigned her seat after being convicted of fraudulently taking COVID-19 relief funds. On Friday, Republican State Representative Tricia Durgis of Nixa sent her resignation letter to the House Speaker, Rob Vescovo. Durgis was an assistant physician at several clinics. She was convicted last month on 22 counts, including wire fraud, illegal distribution of controlled substances, and making false statements to investigators. Federal prosecutors argued she claimed nearly $900,000 in federal funding for COVID-19 treatments that weren't performed or had already been performed. The state of Oklahoma is planning to execute an inmate on death row nearly every month until 2025. The Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals set execution dates for 6 prisoners, with plans to execute 25 in the next 29 months. The court is responding to a request by Oklahoma Attorney General John O'Connor. Capital punishment in Oklahoma had been on hold due to a moratorium prompted by botched lethal injections. Oklahoma currently has a backlog of 44 people on death row. Under the new push, the first scheduled execution is set for August 25th. With the recent overturn of Roe versus Wade, interest in contraceptives has increased dramatically. A Kansas City urologist is reporting that men making inquiries about vasectomies has increased an incredible 900%. Reporter Megan Abundis has that story.
I didn't ever envision myself talking about this, but it feels good.
In the shade of his backyard, surrounded by 4-pawed furry friends.
You have to give it some serious thought.
Lion Lank doesn't take priceless things for granted.
We just want the basics. We just want to be able to, have this yard, have a choice in what we want our lives to look like.
Like proposing with a family diamond smuggled from Czechoslovakia during the Nazi occupation.
Kels is everything to me. I've never met a more beautiful, kind, caring person.
Which is why he's sharing their decision in lieu of the abortion ban.
Because the power of people don't stop. Here we are having to think the unthinkable.
And after weighing his fiance's medical history,
we've talked about me getting a vasectomy. I've got to contemplate doing what could potentially be a life-saving procedure for the person I love most. It's not a decision I make lightly, I'll say that.
One of our office managers said, "Get ready."
Dr. Christian Hettinger is a urologist at KCUC. There's about 24 clinics across the metro.
Since Friday, we're up 900% in people looking to get a vasectomy.
The demand for vasectomy consults drastically increasing across both states. Here's the numbers for just one clinic.
Typically, it's about 3 over a weekend, and over this past weekend, it was 50 that came through looking for vasectomies.
It's not right for everybody.
It should be viewed as a permanent form of sterilization. So it's not something that's a good temporary fix, if you will. It's not something I would plan to have done and then reversed in the future.
Lank says he knows the mass of his decision, has done the research, and talked to his family and friends.
Either I get this or we risk her, being denied a procedure down the line, and that's unacceptable to me. So it's not a sacrifice. It's the right thing to do.
In Alabama, Democratic lawmakers talked about requiring vasectomies for men when they reach age 50 or have 3 children. The lawmaker says the move is designed to decrease the demand for abortion statewide. It is unlikely that bill will pass. New research on the monkeypox outbreak in the UK shows patients' symptoms are different than previous outbreaks. The Lancet Infectious Diseases study found patients had differences in symptoms, including locations of skin lesions and less tiredness and fever. In this current outbreak, more than 350 monkeypox cases have been reported in the U.S. A new study reveals the natural gas from stoves can harm your health. Researchers from Harvard analyzed more than 200 samples from 69 kitchens in the Boston area. They found nearly 300 chemical compounds in the unburned natural gas, 21 of which are labeled as hazardous air pollutants by the EPA. That includes benzene, which was detected in 95% of the samples and has also been linked to lymphoma. Analysts suggest moving from gas stoves to electric ones or cook with the windows open to have a constant airflow. Patriotism was on display in our nation's capital this Independence Day, with crowds appearing close to pre-pandemic levels. At the White House, President Biden hosted military families for a barbecue. Reporter Natalie Brand has more from Washington.
Parades with packed sidewalks signaled a bustling return to normal this 4th of July. In Boston, the USS Constitution fired a 21-gun salute, while some in Tampa rallied against recent Supreme Court decisions.
There's different ways you celebrate independence.
Here in Washington, families reflected on the meaning of the day. 246 years after the adoption of the Declaration of Independence.
It's nice to see people coming back together around similar values, around democracy.
My father was in the military, and he's since passed away. So for me, this is more towards like veterans and military.
It's really interesting to see all the patriotism and everything is beautiful here.
The National Independence Day Parade returned after a 2-year absence. People here are from all over. For some, it's their first big trip since the pandemic.
It's exciting to do something different and come to D.C. for the first time.
President Biden returned from his weekend at Camp David to host a 4th of July barbecue with military families at the White House.
There's nothing guaranteed about our democracy. Nothing guaranteed about our way of life. We have to fight for it.
In Twitter messages, the president praised the sacrifices of our nation's service members and said our best days lie ahead.
A bit later, lawn care in this intense heat.
Let's face it, lawn work can be tough, especially during summer. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at how goats are becoming a unique solution to mowing, plus what you need to know to help make sure your yard doesn't die from the sun. That's coming up.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a hot, humid day for us today. Temperatures right around 100 degrees. Another dry day, but at least we got some rain yesterday. So for the month, we're sitting at about an inch of rain, which we really needed it. All right, heat advisories, everybody, once again for us tomorrow. Oklahoma and Arkansas will reissue during the morning hours, and this is for heat, humidity. Of course, with the higher humidity, you get the higher heat indices. Look at our actual temps this afternoon, upper 90s to about 100 degrees across the region, and it's still hot and muggy out there right now. Sitting at 87 in Carthage, 86 in Miami. Parsons is sitting at 89 degrees. Our humidity is up there. Our dew points are sitting mainly into lower 70s. So if we look at our scale, this kind of puts us in that muggy to soupy range, and that's where we're going to sit as we go through the next few days. So we still have a heat index. Even though the sun is down, it feels like it's into the lower 90s across the region. A lot of people shooting fireworks off, which you can see on our tower cam. Currently sitting at 87, southerly winds 5 to 10. Relative humidity is at 59%. Nothing going on here, pretty much clear skies. Few isolated little thunderstorms out to our west. But besides that, the entire Central Plains, pretty calm. We should stay this way as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight. Let's go through time. Hour by hour, we're going to stop at about 7 a.m., 78 to about 80. Few clouds in our western counties, and there could be a random isolated little shower or thunderstorm that tries to pop up. But most of you stay dry tomorrow. Mid-90s by noon, then a high temp right around 100 during the afternoon. 77 to start, 94 by noon. Look at the high, 100 degrees. Southerly winds at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, we drop back again, upper 70s to about 80 degrees. Wednesday, very similar as we go right around 100 once again during the afternoon. In fact, we'll probably step it up a degree or two each day. Heat indices tomorrow, 105 to 107. Heat indices on Wednesday, 108, 109. So very hot, very humid. This trend continues on Thursday. The heat sticks around on Friday. The heat sticks around nearly 100 degrees. We are going to get a front that gets a little bit closer to us as we work into the weekend, giving us at least a few scattered thunderstorms. But overall, the heat isn't going anywhere anytime soon. 100 tomorrow, 101, 102, 103. A little bit cooler over the weekend. Upper 90s, right back to 100 by next Monday. So a hot stretch.
Little tiny bit cooler.
Yeah, it's not going to feel any cooler.
No, it won't. Thanks, Doug. Hey, a recent series of shark attacks on the east and west coast is prompting extra caution at beaches. Over the weekend, a lifeguard on Long Island was bit in the hand and chest during a training exercise when he was ironically playing the role of a victim. Last week, a Florida teen suffered a serious injury in a shark attack, and a California man was recently injured in waters where he regularly swims. Coming up, how a recent Webb City High School graduate found a new home in the boxing ring. Carterville's Bradley Coffey graduated from Webb City High School earlier this year. He didn't play any sports for the Cardinals, but now he's found a new team and a home inside the boxing ring. Sports director Jacob Leonard has that story.
Bradley Coffey first got into boxing at 14 years old.
Went to my friend's house and they just had gloves in the backyard and we started boxing each other. Well, not really boxing, we were fighting. So I would watch videos, YouTube videos, and I would just try to implement that into what I was doing.
Coffey went to Webb City High School, but never suited up in any sport for the Cardinals.
That was hard, and I had friends that wanted me to go do wrestling and something like that, and it just didn't intrigue me.
So he wasn't really part of a team until...
I was actually at the Webb City Senior Project, their presentation, and I look over, I see this kid's got boxing on his board, so I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool, you don't see it often. And I go over and just hit it up with Bradley, and then, I let him know, I was like, hey man, you don't have to go to college to box. He's been in the gym with us ever since, and you could tell right there he was a kid that we just wanted in the gym, just a good kid to have. Got to talk to his parents and meet everybody, so he hadn't missed a day since.
Coffey started training with Mossberg Boxing in Southwest Missouri, and Coach Ryan Mossberg.
We came in here as a shy kid, and then how we saw him move around and stuff with all my guys, we knew he had potential.
Here I felt comfortable. This was like a safe place for me. They didn't take away my style, they just embedded more stuff into it.
And he finally found his team.
Felt like these guys were like my family, and the only time I've ever felt that was in ROTC or, at home.
Coffey fought and won his amateur debut just 2 weeks ago at Buffalo Run Casino.
It was a good feeling getting my hand raised. It was spooky for the first bit, but I guess as soon as the bell rung, I just had tunnel vision.
He cut off the angles, he listened well, he put all of his combinations together. Usually fighters in their first fight, it goes out the window once they're in there, but not Brad. He stuck to the game plan.
Watching him win was almost better than me doing anything that I could have done that night. I was so excited for him.
And winning was a good feeling, but for Coffey, it meant just as much to have his new team behind him.
That feels very warming, I guess, knowing that I have someone to back me, knowing I have a future ahead of me, rather than just backyard boxing.
To have Bradley come in here and work as hard as he does every day is super cool to see. The perfect story of, how boxing can really build someone's confidence and put them on the map.
In Southwest Missouri, Jacob Leonard, KOAM Sports.
Coffey hopes to return to the ring for his second amateur fight in August. We'll be right back. Production has halted at the world's biggest chocolate factory over safety concerns. According to a statement from a Swiss chocolate maker, Barry Callebaut, salmonella was discovered in a Belgian plant last week. Company officials say no affected products made it to retail customers. They've also contacted Belgian food authorities about this incident and will clean and disinfect their lines. Turns out goats can be great landscapers. Reporter Ashley Strohmeyer has a special look at how these gentle grazers are being put to work, plus what you can do to help make sure your lawn survives this summer's intense heat waves.
Yard work can be a hassle, especially in sweltering heat. That's why one of New York City's popular parks is saying move over mowers and welcoming a crew of adorable goats as their new landscapers. The goats will call Riverside Park along the west side of Manhattan their new home for the remainder of the summer. The animals are an eco-friendly way of combating invasive plants while managing the grass on the park's steep hills.
They eat poison ivy, they eat the porcelain berry, they eat the multiflora rose, and that's what we're trying to get rid of.
And once the goats have worked their magic, native foliage will be planted. Meanwhile, if you don't have goats to do your lawn work, professionals say you'll need to pay close attention to how tall you cut your grass for the remainder of the summer, with soaring temperatures putting your yard at risk of dying.
We tend to recommend mowing between 2 and 4 inches. Higher is usually better. You also tend to have a deeper root system, which is going to allow that plant to exploit the soil environment a little bit better when it's looking for nutrients and water.
But with drought continuing to impact large swaths of the Midwest, Southeast, and Western U.S., many people are ripping up their water-guzzling lawns and transitioning to artificial turf.
Grass uses the equivalent of 73 gallons of water a year per square foot. That's enough water to put where we are completely underwater by 10 feet.
If your lawn does require watering, landscapers say the best time to turn on your sprinklers is between 4 and 7 a.m. so the water pressure is higher and can help disperse it equally. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Coming up, a look at the strides the film industry has made over the past year to provide more representation of people with disabilities. Earlier this year, the film Coda made history as the first Oscars Best Picture winner with a predominantly deaf cast. The film also put a spotlight on disability representation in Hollywood and how more doors could and should be open. Ashley Dvorkin from Fox has a look at how the industry is moving forward with projects bringing authentic representation to the screen and how children's programming is a big part of it.
Coda's Best Picture win was a milestone for disability representation in Hollywood, which could lead to more opportunities.
Have you seen anything so far, even since the big Oscar win?
Yes, that is always the hope, that when there is a big win, that's going to open it up doors for so many other people who are deaf and disabled. Unfortunately, things don't necessarily happen as quickly as we would like, but I do think each win, each success story does open up doors.
Lauren Applebaum of nonprofit Respectability hopes Coda's success results in funding for authentic stories.
Some of these bigger companies that will want to turn around and say, hey, yes, I want to invest in you early on.
Do you two dance?
A recent example is Cha Cha Real Smooth, picked up by Apple TV Plus for a reported $15 million at Sundance. Respectability consulted on it, including with the role of Lola, played by Vanessa Berghart.
She was able to bring her authentic self as someone who is autistic to the film as well. A lot of times people are nervous about bringing in an actress with a disability, and so they want to reach out. They want to ensure the language that they're using in the script is okay. They want to ensure that the set is set up appropriately for success.
And another area making moves forward is children's content.
Mickey Mouse Funhouse, they added a deaf character.
Would you play your drums with my gnome band?
Less than 1% of children's content features a disabled characters. So another preschool series is Team Zenko Go. This is another instance where the actual actor has a disability as well. So I think that can be super helpful.
We're taking kindness to the max.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you tonight with a quirky 4th of July contest in Key West, Florida. The object: to eat an entire 9-inch key lime pie as quickly as possible without using your hands. The winner this year did it in 1 minute, 14 seconds. Let's make it a great tomorrow.